Who was the last reformer that we saw? So now, next social reformer we'll see is Mehtaji Durgaram. Mehtaji Durgaram. So Mehtaji Durgaram, he was particularly very much very popular in the southern Marathwada region, particularly in Pune, Satara areas. So, and in the other towns of the Bombay Marathwada region. Bombay Marathwada region. So, in 1849, he had opened branches in various parts of uh, Pune, Satara, branch, Nagpur, other areas. He opened branches of his organization. So he was very much into the reform movements. So he was associated in the Paramahamsa Mandali, which was founded in 1849. Paramahamsa Mandali. And this Mandali was initially founded by Paramahamsa Ramakrishna, the Guru of Swami Vivekananda. In that Mandali, they started. And another reformer who associated with Mehtaji Durgaram was Dadoba Pandurang. Dadoba Panduranga. So they were associated and they started this Paramahamsa Mandali, which was started by Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. They started as what? They started as a secret society. And this secret society was to reform the Hindu religion, and particularly the Hindu religion and society. Hindu religion and society. So they had the agenda. The founders, Mehtaji, Durgaram, and Dadoba Panduranga, they had an agenda. What was the agenda? The agenda is one God, monotheism, one God. And this God, they were primarily interested with this. They wanted to break caste barriers. So breaking the caste barriers, that their ideology of taking one God was very closely linked to the ideology of the Manav Dharma Sabha. Manav Dharma Sabha. So these people were very much into what you call the every caste, which is the lower caste people. They want to take in this social organization, and these lower caste people, they will cook food, and this cooked food all the high caste people will eat. High caste and everybody will eat. So they wanted to take on the what you called the upper class domination. So that is why this Mano Dharma Sabha also propagated social reforms, particularly they were advocated widow remarriage and women's education. So another social reformer, this is enough for the social reformer Durga Mehtaji Durgadas, Durga Ram. Next social reformer is Gopal Hari Deshmukh. Gopal Hari Deshmukh. So Gopal Hari Deshmukh was born from 1823 to 1892. Gopal Hari Deshmukh was very popular in taking the issues of people in his print media, in his newspaper. So he wrote a weekly newspaper, and this weekly was known as Prabhakara. In this Prabhakara, he was able to write under a pen name. The pen name was called Lokhitavadi. Lokhitavadi. It was the pen name of Gopal Hari Deshmukh. What did he write? He wrote about the social reforms in this Prabhakara. And he also published another newspaper which he had written and he started. It is also called as weekly newspaper, and that newspaper is called Hitek. It's called Hitek. And he advocated a very rationalist thinking. He said we have to reorganize or reorganization of Indian society. How? How we are going to reorganize? He advocated that it should be one on the rational principles, not on superstitious beliefs or on any preconceived notion. Second, we have to reorganize the Indian society on the lines of modern lines. Third, our Indian society should be remodeled on the lines of humanistic values. Fourth, our Indian society should be reorganized on secular credentials, secular values and credentials. So then if you do that, we will be able to have a proper society. So what was the 4-point agenda? You can see Gopal Hari Deshmukh in his pen name Lokitavadi. He propagated the ideas of reorganization of what? Indian society on what basis? Rationalistic principles, modern lines, humanistic values, and secular values and credentials. So he criticized the Brahmanism. He criticized Brahmanism, particularly the caste system and the Brahminical orthodoxy. Caste system and Brahminical orthodoxy. And not only that, he played a very important role in founding many periodicals. He founded periodicals, particularly Jnana Prakash, then Hindu Prakash, Jnana Prakash, Indu Prakash, and Lokitavadi. His pen name is also called as Lokitavadi, and he published a periodical called Lokitavadi Indu Prakash, Jnana Prakash, where he took on the anti-Brahminical stand. He spoke against the Brahmin, the caste system, and the Hindu orthodoxy, which is the Brahminical orthodoxy, and he wanted to fight against this. So he famously said, who Gopal Hari Deshmukh, who is known as Lokitavadi, by his pen name, he famously said that if religion does not sanction social reform, if religion does not sanction social reform, then what we should do? Then change religion. This is what Ambedkar did. Yes or no? If religion does not sanction social reform, then change the religion. So this was an inspiration. Gopal Hari Deshmukh was inspiration to whom? To Ambedkar. Finally, in 1954, 1954 or 53? 54, he, on Buddha Purnima, 1 lakh people all became what? They all became Buddhists. Ambedkar along with 1 lakh people. So you can see that Gopal Hari Deshmukh was able to take up in his newspaper Jnana Prakash, then Hindu Prakash, Lokitavadi, where he was able to propagate these ideas. Another important uh, reformer is Gopal Ganesh Agarkar. So Gopal Ganesh Agarkar lived from 1856 to 1895. Around 40 years he lived. So he is a very important personality. He was associated with the moderate turned first extremist who in Congress, moderate turned extremist, Bala Gangadhar Tilak. So Gopal Ganesh Agarkar was associated with Bala Gangadhar Tilak. He was the first editor. He was the first editor of the newspaper called Kesari. And also he started his own periodical called Shudrak or Sudharak. He wrote this own periodical. Later in this Sudharak, he or Shudrak, he spoke against caste system and particularly untouchability. So Gopal Ganesh Agarkar, he was also along with B.G. Tilak, he was the co-founder of 3 important institutions in the Pune Deccan area. Co-founder of one. He co-founded New English School. New English School. He co-founded Deccan Education Society. Deccan Educational Society. And he also co-founded Ferguson College. Ferguson College. And later he became the principal of Ferguson College. Principal of Ferguson College. So he advocated, main thing that he propagated was that he was a strong advocate he said that the power of human reason power of human reasoning capacity. So he advocated that we should reason out. It should be rational. It should be pragmatic. It should be secular. So in this way, he was associated with Balagangadhar Tilak in co-founding three institutions along with B.G. Tilak. B.G. Tilak was what? The first moderate turned extremist leader. The father of extremism was whom? Balagangadhar Tilak. Later, you can see that social reformer Narayana Malhar Joshi in Deccan. Narayana Malhar Joshi. So Narayana Malhar Joshi, he started SSL, Social Service League, SSL, in Bombay. And this was started for what? So it's an aim to help the masses. So he is one among the tallest leaders who in 1920s, he founded AITUC, All India Trade Union Congress. It is called as AITUC. Still, after 100 years of existence, AITUC is very strong even today. So you can see the main aim of Narayana Yanam Joshi, Narayana Malhar Joshi, was that to secure a better and reasonable condition for the workers. So his main aim was what? Better and reasonable conditions of life. Reasonable conditions of life and work for whom? For masses. Because people where unemployment was very high, people were not getting proper food, livelihood. So he said we need to give them better. That is why he founded All India Trade Union Congress. So he was very keen in supporting, particularly in Bombay, you will see slums were there more than 100 years ago. So he organized what he called schools for those slum children. Schools, then he brought in libraries. And not only that, he also brought reading rooms and day nurseries and cooperative societies for the welfare of masses. Since he was involved in the social work, he was very popular. So his activities was that there are many people, poor people, who have been falsely accused and framed, and they have been put in jails. And these people don't have no legal aid. So Narayana Malhar Joshi used to arrange and support free legal aid. So he was arranging what? Free legal aid to those people who have been what he called poor people don't have any access to legal framework. Such people they were given legal aid, advice, and who are people who don't have any education, illiterate, poor, and those people who cannot afford such people, he was supporting them. Not only that, and he was taking care of well the slum dwellers. Where were the slum dwellers? Where? In Bombay. And he used to bring them for the children, no? He used to take them for excursions, for picnics. Why? Because these people have never seen, except the slums of Bombay, they have not seen. For them to get an exposure and excursions he was organizing. And also, he brought gyms so that these gymnasium, these youth will also be what? mentally and physically fit. And he also gave them what you call the uh, skill of drama or dramatics for theatrical performances. Because why did these people were given theatrical performances? Because of the caste problems and high caste society, these people will not be let into the opera. What do you mean by opera or theaters? In 1920s, there were very, very less theaters. So these people will not get opportunity. So where they'll see plays and melas in slums. So these people will be trained in theater form, art form, and these children and youth will come and perform. And that was the entertainment for the slum people. So in this way, he was able to provide what he called medical relief in times of relief, medical. And not only that, in slums, what is the biggest problem? Slums, biggest problem, sanitation, safe drinking water, and he was providing the basic necessities for the people's necessities for their livelihood. So you can see that he was able to bring medical camp, sanitary work, and also for boys and girls, he brought boys club, and for girls and other boys, they got scout corps. So he was a modern social reformer and a worker in particularly Bombay slums. We can see Narayana Malhar Joshi, who founded AITUC and worked in the streets of Bombay. So now we go into the Ramakrishna mission. Ramakrishna mission. So Ramakrishna mission was founded by whom? By Swami Vivekananda in honor of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa Swami. So Ramakrishna Paramahamsa Swami, he was born in Bombay. Later he went to work where? Swami Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, he went to Bengal. He worked in the Kali temple there. And that is how Ramakrishna Paramahamsa came in contact with whom? He came in contact with Swami Vivekananda. So you can see that Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, he started this Paramahamsa Mandali in Bombay. And for what reason? For religious propagation. And this Paramahamsa Mandali fought against caste system, idolatry, and the Brahminical orthodoxy. And Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was the disciple, and he from the what he called Mathura, he started his journey understanding what Vedanta system. And this Vedanta system is what he gave it to his disciple, Swami Vivekananda. So the main mission that Swami Vivekananda received was to start up what he called Ramakrishna mission to order of monks. The main objective is these order of monks should come as what? As a person who will come and help the poor and also work in the elimination of superstition, untouchability, and he gave a new direction to national movement. So what was the objectives of Swami Vivekananda's Ramakrishna mission? So his original name he started was Narendra Nath Dutta, and he was born in 1862 and he died in 1902 at the age of 40. So he started this Ramakrishna mission in 1897. And this Ramakrishna mission, he also gave a new direction to the Indian national movement that India should take pride in the ancient glory, awakening of the countrymen, development of moral and physical strength, unity based on common spiritual ideas. That is what he gave to whom? That he gave to the Indians who are fighting for the freedom. So as Ramakrishna mission, he emerged as a preacher of Neo-Hinduism. He's a Neo-Hinduism preacher. And he preached the from where he preached? He preached from the Vedas, Upanishads, from Gita, from Bible, from Buddha, and also from the life experiences of his guru, Swami Ramakrishna. So this is how Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's teachings that he took forward. So in 1893, you can see that Swami Vivekananda went to USA. Where he went? USA. In USA, he attended the World Parliament of Religions in USA in Chicago in 1893. And not only that, he also went and gave in various parts of USA, London. He spoke about what? Vedanta. What do you mean by Vedanta? Veda plus Anta is called end of Vedas. End of Vedas is called as Vedanta. End of Vedas is called Vedanta. He spoke about. From where did he got this discourse and his knowledge on Vedanta? Who taught him? Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. So Ramakrishna Paramahamsa got this and he propagated that idea to Swami Vivekananda when he met in Calcutta in the Kali temple. There they got, and he founded this first religious order in Hindu. Is called the Belur Mutt. In this Belur Mutt, he wanted two things with this Ramakrishna mission. This Ramakrishna mission, these monks, they should be selfless. Okay, they should come out and in sannyasi, they have to come and reach out to people and propagate the ideas of the Vedas, Upanishads, and also the ideas of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. So his mission is to bridge the gulf between what? He said, we have to bridge the gulf between Paramartha. What do you mean by Paramartha versus spirituality? Oh, sorry. Paramartha versus Vyavahara. What do you mean by Paramartha and Vyavahara? It's a what you call the Sanskritic word. Paramartha. What do you mean by Paramartha? Paramartha means sevai, service. Vyavahara means what? What do you mean by Vyavahara? Means behavior. So he said there should be gulf. You want to bridge between what? Service and behavior. Not only that, he also wanted to gulf between spirituality and day-to-day life. So he wanted to bridge the spirituality and day-to-day life. So in this way, Swami Vivekananda was able to propagate his idea, and he also said is service of all beings is what important. And he also said famous quotation is the service of Jiva is the worship of Shiva. That means service of Jiva means all living beings. Like if you do service to all living beings, it is actually worshipping God. The service you do to any living being is like worshipping God. That is why he founded Ramakrishna Mission. So he attended the World History, Congress History of Religions in Paris, and he declared Vedanta to be a rational system, and he ordered the monkhood of Belur Mutt. Recently, Prime Minister and Chief Minister had visited here in Ramakrishna Mission. Yes or no? Some 10 days ago in Chennai. So Dayananda Saraswati. So Dayananda Saraswati and all, they have the pioneers who sowed little seeds of this, what he called the Hindutva. So Arya Samaj played a very important role in arousing the feelings. So the movement, what Ramakrishna Mission was done, it was done by Swami Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. He met Vivekananda in Kali Temple in Dakshineshwar in Calcutta. There he had discourse of Vedanta. That is how he brought Swami Vivekananda into the movement. So you can see Dayananda Saraswati was founded in where? In Bombay. So he founded Arya Samaj. So he was one among the makers of the Indian, what we call the modern India. His ideas were taken over by many nationalist leaders, and he was a very, what we called, he played a very important role. And he also was very much instrumental in taking the hardcore Hindutva ideology, because you can see that he wanted to bring the reform with indigenous orientation. Reform with indigenous orientation. Actually, they're not reformist, you can say. They are a little bit revivalist in nature. What do you mean by reformist and revivalist? என்ன difference? ரிஃபார்ம்னாக்கா பழையதை விட்டு புதியதை படிக்கிறது. ரிவைவலிஸ்ட்ன்றது பழையதை எடுத்து திரும்பியும் புதுசா பழையதே கொடுக்கிறது தான் ரிவைவலிஸ்ட். So this is little bit revivalist in nature. The reason is that Swami Dayananda Saraswati, so he founded this Arya Samaj, one thing, as a counter narrative to the Christian missionaries. And also those people who have left Hinduism and became Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, Sikh, all these people should come back. That is why he started the Shuddhikaran movement. The Shuddhikaran movement is what? Garvapsi movement. Bring all those people, pour them on that mantras and that water on them and make them Hindus again. So he started his headquarters in Bombay, and he started Arya Samaj on 10th April 1875. 10th April 1875, he started this. So during this period, you can see pre-Congress associations, a movement came to revive the Hindu religion. So you can see this work done by Asiatic Society of Bengal, 1784, Sir William Jones and Max Muller, the German philosopher who came and he revived. They put a theory. What theory? That Aryans are also the same genealogy. Even the Western people, particularly the Europeans, are also from this same Aryan lineage. So what happened? They sowed the seed, and that became a problem not only here in India, in West also this slowly started. That what ended with the what? Genocide of people. Yes or no? Nazism started with what? The same ideology. So they put forward, and now the Indians, particularly Brahmins, they're saying we and Britishers are of same genes. We are of same lineage. We are the old Aryan race. We are the link. In that way, they claim what? Caste privileges. And this was very big problem for the Arya Samaj, because Arya Samaj started to look backwards and they established their headquarters in Bombay. Later, his followers, Lala Hardayal and Lala Lajpat Rai, shift their headquarters to Lahore in Punjab. So, Swami Dayananda Saraswati, he has traveled all over the country and propagated this idea and opened many branches. And he was particularly interested in propagating the idea. So he wrote Satyartha Prakash. Satyartha Prakash. There was one more reformer who wrote on the widow remarriage, Satya Prakash. So don't confuse Satya Prakash and from Satyartha Prakash of Dayananda Saraswati. Second, he wrote Vedanga Prakash. Vedanga Prakash. Third, he wrote Ratnamala. He wrote Ratnamala. Fourth, he wrote Sankar Vidi. Why? Because his original name of Dayananda Saraswati, his name is Mool Shankar. He was born in a place called Morvi State, Morvi Kingdom in Gujarat. Morvi Kingdom, Gujarat. So he was a Brahmin from that area. Earlier there was no Gujarat, it was called Bombay Presidency. So, but he was in Gujarat region. So he brought Sankar Vidhi and finally he wrote Bharatini Varna, which glorified what? Bharatini Varna. That means caste system. Though they gave lip service to caste system, they never fought to eradicate caste system. Okay, that is why I told that though they start as reform movement, they are revivalistic in nature. So Arya Samaj had its headquarters in Bombay as well as in Lahore later. And Swami Dayananda Saraswati as Mool Shankar, he was disciple of Swami Brijvananda. This Brijvananda in Mathura is a blind, what he called, he doesn't have eyesight. From there, he started his what? Education, particularly on Vedanta. You can see that Ramakrishna Paramahansa, Vedanta. Dayananda Saraswati, Vedanta. Swami Vivekananda, Vedanta. So they all took from the Vedas, the end of Vedas, and they propagated during that period. So what were the principles of Arya Samaj? Arya Samaj was very particular in their principles. What is the principles they followed? They said Vedas are the only source of truth. Vedas are only source of truth. And no other book is truth except Vedas. Second thing, they opposed Vigraha Puja or Murti Puja, idol worship. They also were against incarnation, God incarnation. What is that God incarnation? Vishnu, avatar is who? Rama is the avatar of Vishnu. And Vishnu is the avatar of Varaha. Somewhat they'll say no. So those things, they were against God incarnation. They were against the pilgrimages. They called Tirtha Yatra, Tirupayanigal. So they were against what? Religious pilgrimages. Then he was working with the principles of Arya Samaj is that he said every Indian should go and chant what? Mantra. And this mantra from where? From Rig Veda. And not only that, people should perform Yagna and Havan. What do you mean by Havan and Yagna? The யாகம் பண்றாங்க தெரியுங்களா? இந்த ஹோம குண்டலமா என்னது? அக்னி குண்டமா? இதுல வச்சு then these pujaris all will be sitting. They'll be pouring. And this is what Havan. It is called Havan. Yagna means there will be groups of Purohitas. Bara means they will be chanting and mantras and they will do various homas. Gayatri mantra will be sung and all those things. So he was very much propagating. Who? Swami Dayananda, Swami Arya Samaj founder Dayananda Saraswati. So you can see the social reforms, they were against the caste system, but in his book Bharatini Varna, he is not talking about its eradication. So in this way, they said female education, opposition to child marriage, polygamy, they all worked. Apart from the books written by Swami Dayananda Saraswati, what all he wrote? Satyartha Prakash, then Vedanga Prakash, Ratnamala, Shankar Vidhi, Bharatini Varna. Along with that, he also wrote Veda Bhasya Bhumika in Sanskrit and Veda Bhasya, two other books in Sanskrit works he wrote. Veda Bhasya Bhumika and Veda Bhasya on Sanskrit works. So what were the principles that additionally they had? Vedas are the only source of truth. Vedas are the only authority. Welfare of mankind, gender equality, love and charity towards all people. So how did Arya Samaj do? It created a sense of pride. Why? Why pride? Aryan theory. That means Aryan invasion. They accepted the Aryan invasion of India, and they also accepted during that time the pride in the Aryans were the same genealogy of the Brahmins as well as the Western Europeans. And he started Shuddhikaran, means reconvert people who became Christian, Muslim, Buddhist. All those people will be reconverted and be brought back to Hinduism. And in social, they opened child marriage. And now, what did they do? They opened Gurukulas. In Gurukula, will a lower caste people go get education? Is it a reform movement or a revivalist movement? So they opened to spread what? Vedas. Manu Dharma says what? Vedate keta kaadala iyachal kachi utno. Veda mandata ni ucharicha enna panna. Nakula. Iyata kachi utno solirukanga illaya? Manu Dharma. Yes or no? So you can see that these people, they said untouchability, child marriage, but they're not going to the core of what? Core of the root cause of all evil is what? This caste system and Brahminical hegemony in orthodoxy. So you can see later part of the life of Arya Samaj, it's split into two. One became reform movement, liberal group, other became Gurukular group. So then the Saraswati's headquarters was shifted from Bombay. One went to Himachal Pradesh, one went to Lahore in Punjab. This Lahore was the liberal group. They opened Dayanand Anglo-Vedic School, DAV school. It was done by Lala Rajpat Rai and Lala Hardayal. And in the Gurukulam, it went to Haridwar, Uttarakhand. They opened the Gurukulam system. Lala Munshi Ram and also Swami Shraddhananda, they opened the Gurukulam University. So the crux of Arya Samaj, no caste system, but in Bharatini Varna, he doesn't speak about removing the caste system. They say no dowry, no idol worship, no child marriage, no parda system, gender equality. But what are the lacunas? They never spoke about untouchability. They never spoke about its removal. In fact, they spoke about Gurukulam and also they spoke about what? Teaching Vedas. So they are not originally reformist, they are revivalist who wanted to bring the Brahminical traditions. So Dayananda Saraswati, he is the Veda. So he is glorifying the Vedas. With Vedas come the ancient Aryan Brahminical system. which he did not work for the eradication of the caste system or untouchability. So who is this Dayananda Saraswati? As I told you, his name is Mool Shankar, and he was born in the old Morvi Principality in Gujarat region in a Brahmin family. He wrote Satyartha Prakash in Hindi language, and he gave this call for the first time, go back to Vedas. Was given by Swami Dayananda Saraswati. So Arya Samaj was able to start a Shuddhi movement, purification movement, to convert the Hindu people from Christianity, Islam, and Buddhism. And the successors of this movement was whom? Lala Hardayal, Lala Rajpat Rai, Lala Munshi Ram, and Lala Pandit Gurudat, and Swami Shraddhananda. Swami Shraddhananda. All these people were the people from Arya Samaj. So Swami Dayananda Saraswati got teaching of Vedanta from the blind Swami Vijwananda of Mathura, and later he criticized Hindu scriptures, particularly Ramayana and Mahabharata. He criticized it as Puranas, and its authenticity is questionable. He criticized. So Theosophical Society. So Theosophical Society was founded by whom? Not Annie Besant. Theosophical Society was founded by Madam H.P. Blavatsky and Colonel Olcott. Madam H.P. Blavatsky and Colonel Olcott. So they started this in America, in USA. And the agenda was that in 1875, this Russian spiritualist, who's Madame Blavatsky? She is a Russian spiritualist. That means what? Who are there? Russian spiritualist. சொல்லுங்க கதை சொன்னவங்களுக்கு என்ன சொன்னாங்க? இல்ல இந்த ஈஸ்டர்ன் ஆர்த்தடாக்ஸ் ஒரு கூட்டம் டூப்ளிகேட் ஜூஸ் அவங்க ரஷ்யால குடிபெயர்றாங்க. எதற்காக? பழி வாங்குதல். யாருடைய பழி வாங்குதல்? சார். அவங்கதான் 1917 சாருடைய குடும்பத்தையே வெட்டி சாட்சி போல்ஷெவிக் ரெவல்யூஷன் உருவாக்குறாங்க. அதுக்கு முன்னாடி அவங்க ரஷ்யால இருந்து அமெரிக்கா குடிபெயர்றாங்க. குடிபெயரும் போது என்ன ஆகுது? அந்த இடத்துல அவங்க எதை பத்தி சிந்திக்கிறாங்க? எப்படி நம்ம 1000 வருடத்துக்கு முன்னாடி நம்மளுடைய முன்னோர்கள் வழிபட்டாங்க சாத்தானை, அதாவது பில்லி, சூனியம், மாயத்தந்திரம், வேற ஏவல், செய்வினை, இதெல்லாம் கூடுட்டு கூறு பயிர்ந்து டிரான்ஸ்மைக்ரேஷன் ஆஃப் சோல், எப்படி நம்ம இந்த ஆவிகள்லாம் வந்து ஏவிட்டு நம்ம அதுகிட்ட இருந்து இந்த சூப்பரா நேச்சுரல் வேர்ல்டுல போய் அதுல நம்ம இது செய்யறது, அதெல்லாம் அவங்கள கத்துக்கணும். மறுபடியும் அந்த மந்திரங்களை கத்துக்கணும், தந்திரங்களை கத்துக்கணும்னு ரிவைவல் பண்ணாங்க. அமெரிக்கால தான் தியோசாபிக்கல் சொசைட்டி தொடங்கப்படுது. 1875ல அமெரிக்கால ஃபவுண்ட் ஆகுது. So you can see that they were greatly influenced by the doctrine. What doctrine? The doctrine of karma. What do you mean by karma? Whatever you do to others, no, whatever action you do, the same action will come to you. If you do good, good will come to you. If you do bad, bad will come to you. If you do injustice, injustice will come back to you. If you do theft, you will also will be robbed. So karma will hit. That doctrine of karma. So some books say that Theosophical Society came to India in 1879. Some say 1882. Some say 1886. Whatever it is, whether it is 1879 to 1880, It depends. If you get any of the 3 dates, go with first with that date. So they came to Adayar in the banks of river Adayar, and they made the headquarters, second headquarters in Adayar. So Annie Besant, for sure, this Irish woman, she came in 1893. And Theosophical Society, they wanted the Theosophical movement to gain strength. They wanted to revive. And this revival was done by Annie Besant. She was the one who propagated, and she is the one who made Theosophical Society so popular in India. And she was a founder of the Banaras Hindu University called Central College. Why did she open this Central College or Central School? The agenda of Annie Besant was she wanted to teach Hinduism to whom? Hinduism to whom she wanted to teach? She wanted to teach Hinduism to Hindus. Okay. So in this way, they were very much propagating. This Theosophical Society, what were the agenda? They started in New York in USA. They wanted to mainly call what? They wanted to study ancient religions. Why? என்ன சொன்னவங்களுக்கு எகிப்திலிருந்து வந்த இந்த மாந்திரிகம் எங்க போச்சு? இந்தியாவுக்கு எப்படி வந்துச்சு? அது அப்படியே பாபிலோனுக்கு போச்சு. பாபிலோன்ல என்ன எடுத்தாங்க? பாபிலோன், பர்ஷியால ஃபயர் ரிலிஜன், ஜொராஸ்ட்ரியனிசம். அந்த ஜொராஸ்ட்ரியனிசம்ல வந்துதான் புத்திசமோ ஹிந்துயிசமோ அவங்க கடந்தது. மாந்திரிகம், தந்திரம் எல்லாமே பாபிலோன்ல இருந்து இந்தியாவுக்கு வந்துச்சு. புரியுதுங்களா எப்போ வந்துச்சுன்னு? அதான் உங்களுக்கு லாஸ்ட் டைம் பேசணும். So we can see Annie Besant became its head in 1907. In Colonel Alcott, he was living till 1907. Only in 1907, after his death, she took over the reins. And Annie Besant was a prolific writer. She translated Bhagavad Gita into English, and also she wrote in English commentary to Ramayana and Mahabharata. The Central Hindu School she did in Kasi in 1898. She wanted to teach Hinduism to Hindus. So she joined National Congress in 1915. 1916, she started the second mass movement called Home Rule Movement. And 17, she became the first women president of Congress. So what were the objectives of Theosophical Society? They believed in universal brotherhood, transmigration of soul. They opposed untouchability and child marriage. Just they opposed, but they never worked for eradication. They wanted to revive the ancient Hindu philosophy. That means what? They wanted to revive the age-old traditions. What traditions? Particularly from the Atharva Veda. This magic of charms and spells. Magic of charms and spells, transmigration of soul, and all those mantras and the spiritual, or what you call it, having a communion with the spirits. That is what they wanted to revive. So you can see in this slide. என்னப்பா இது? உங்களுக்கு அதை காட்டினா பாம்பு அன்னைக்கு காட்டினேன். என்ன பாம்பு அது? 2 பாம்பு காட்டினேன் இல்லையா? அது மோசஸ் உடைய ஸ்டாஃப். அது கிறிஸ்டியன் சிம்பிள வச்சிருந்தாங்க. இந்த ஒரு பாம்பு காட்டின தெரியுமா? அதாவது புது வேர்ல்டு ஷோவுடைய புது சிம்பிள். வேர்ல்டு ஷோட புது சிம்பிள் பார்த்திருக்கீங்களா? ஒரு கம்பம். இது நத்திங் பட் இதுதான் சிம்பிள். இது பாத்தீங்களா? Okay, so it is all has what? The ancient revival of India is nothing but the ancient Egypt because of the tradition. இந்தியால தான் இருக்கு. இந்த மாந்திரிகம் எல்லாமே இந்திய நாட்டுல தான் இப்ப இருக்கு. அந்த நாட்டுலாம் ஈரான்ல, பர்ஷியால, ஈராக்ல, அப்போ எகிப்துல எல்லாம் அழிஞ்சு போச்சு. அந்த பாரம்பரியம் எல்லாம் எங்க இருக்கு? இந்திய நாட்டுல இருக்கு. அது அது அப்ப இருந்த பெரியவங்க என்ன செஞ்சிருந்தாங்க, இவங்கலாம் வந்து ஒரு கட்டுப்பாட்டுல வச்சிருந்தாங்க. யாரு கூடயுமே வரல. இவங்க வந்து இந்த நேம் ஆஃப் ரிவைவலிஸ்டிக் தாட்ஸ்ல ஹிந்து ரிலிஜன்ல தே ஸ்டார்டட். ஸோ யூ கேன் சி ஃப்ரம் 1875 70ஸ்ல இருந்து இந்த அஜெண்டா வேர்ல்டு பூரா போகுது. பாத்தீங்களா அஜெண்டா, ரிவைவல் அஜெண்டா. யூ கேன் சி இன் அமெரிக்கால போகுது. தென் மேக்ஸ் மூலர் வந்து இந்த தியரியை போடுறாங்க, ஜெர்மன். இந்த ஜெர்மன்ல தான் இந்த ஸ்வாஸ்திகா மேல இருக்கு தெரியுமா, ஸ்வாஸ்திகா சிம்பிள். இது எங்க என்ன சிம்பிள் இது? இந்த ஸ்வாஸ்திகா சிம்பிள் அது ஜெர்மன் நாட்டுக்கு போகுது. ஸோ இந்த ரஷ்யன் போல்ஷிவிக்கும் ஜெர்மனுக்கும் ஏன்ஷியன்ட் பிரான்ஸுக்கும் ஃப்ரீ மிஷனரிஸ்க்கும் தியோசபிக்கல் சொசைட்டிக்கும் எல்லாத்துக்கும் தொடர்பு இருக்கு. சரி. ஸோ தே அஜெண்டா இஸ் வாட்? டு ஸ்டடி ஏன்ஷியன்ட் ரிலிஜன் பிலாசபிஸ் அண்ட் பர்டிகுலர்லி ஓக்குல்டிசம். ஓக்குல்டிசம் என்னது? படிச்சோம் இல்லையா? ஸ்பிரிட்ஸை கூப்பிடுறது, செய்வனை செய்யறது, செத்தவங்கள்ட்ட பேசுறது, ஆவிகளை ஏவல் சேர்ந்து போய் இன்னொருத்தருக்கு இது செய்யறது, பில்லி சூனியம், மாந்திரிகம், இது எல்லாமே இதுதான் ஒக்குல்டிசம், பிளாக் மேஜிக் எல்லாமே. ஸோ தே கேம் இன் மெட்ராஸ் இன் 1879 சொல்றாங்க, சில புக்ஸ் 1882 சொல்றாங்க, சில புக்ஸ் 1886 சொல்றாங்க. பட் வாட் எவர் இட் இஸ், Annie Besant 1893, that is sure. So now we can see that the upper caste were working for what? Upper caste, and they said we are bringing reforms for lower caste. But all these upper caste people, they were just giving what? Only lip service. Only when the lower caste people started to work for them and take forward their issues and agenda, then only real what you called reforms started to come. So you can see Jyotiba Phule or Jyotibai or Jyoti Rao Phule was also called as Mahatma. He was the tallest, what he called, social reformer in the Bombay Marathwada region. So he was a very important personality. He lived from 1827 to 1890. 1827 to 1890. So Jyotiba Phule, he started the Satya Sojak Samaj, that means Truth Seekers Society. Truth Seekers Society. Why he founded this? Because people should know what is the truth, what is the hidden agenda behind all the Brahminical hegemony. So he was very much coming from a scheduled caste called Mali. The Mali community கேள்விப்பட்டிருக்கீங்களா? Mali community. These people are very excellent gardeners. ரொம்ப நல்ல gardeners and vegetable இருக்கு இல்லையா, fruits cultivator, vegetable in the community. So இவர் யாரு? He was a flower seller. He was a flower seller and he used to sell flowers for his livelihood. So he started the Truth Seekers Society in 1773 and he wrote books called Gulamagiri and Sarvajanik Satya Dharma. Sarvajanik Satya Dharma. And this extensively he wrote against the Brahmanism, and he said Brahmanism is the cause of all evil. So the leadership of Satya Sodak Samaj came from the lower caste, particularly backward classes. And there were people who were subjugated by the Brahmins. Why? Because after 1818, the Mahar rebellion against whom? Peshwa, in the final battle of 1818, Third Anglo-Maratha War, Mahars, they started to regroup themselves. In 1866, Vijaya Stamba was erected. Vijaya Stamba. And once they did it, they became a very big, what you called, the lower caste started to rise their head above the oppression and speak it openly. So you can see during this time, it happened in this Bombay, Marathwada region. Mahatma Jyotiba Phule, he opened this Satyasodhak Samaj to propagate his ideas. And now, when he opened this, there are many people who had never had seen the reforms. They started to join, particularly Mali community, Malis, Telis, Kunbis, Saris, and Dangars. All these communities are oppressed classes who never had any voice. And now all these are now coming to an organized backward class and reforms in the untouchable people. So he, Satyaswadak Samaj and Jyotiba Phule was a pioneer in particularly women's education. His wife, Lady Savitri Bai Phule, they strived very hard in education of girls. Particularly, they opened the girls' school in Pune. Only for girls school, Pune. And he was very prolific writer. He wrote in Gulamgiri and Sarvajanik Satya Dharma about the widow remarriage movement. So he propagated on the issues of women, particularly widow remarriage. So Jyotiba Phule in Maharashtra in 1854, along with Savitri Bai Phule, he opened widows' home for widows in Maharashtra. Home for widows. In this, you can see that he started to fight the Brahmins. Brahmins were using Rama as the symbol, and they were telling that Rama had destroyed the evil by killing Ravana. And Jyotiba Phule, he brought whom? He brought Raja Bali. Yaar the Raja Bali? Kerala Raja Bali yaar? Mahabali. So he was bringing as the lower caste, SC, or the oppressed class people would be a symbol. And Brahmins were using whom as symbol? Brahmin symbol. They were using Rama. So he brought Raja Bali in opposition to Rama. And this was very much what he called people attracted, seeing Raja Bali as a greater what we call person who liberates from all oppression, from all injustice, all inequalities, and all the prejudices. So in this way, you can see the Brahmin symbol Rama was negated by using the Raja Bali, and Mahatma Phule was very much able to put forward his idea. And Mahatma Phule said he wanted complete abolition of caste system. It was he who started complete abolition of caste system. You can see Ramakrishna Paramahamsa or Swami Dayananda Saraswati, all these leaders who talk about revivalists, they wanted caste system, but only when a person from the lower caste came and he put forward the total abolition of caste system and eradication of it from India. So Jyotiba Phule, he was very much against this domination of caste system, and also he said that because of this caste system, you have socio-economic inequalities. How it is possible, socio-economic inequalities? Because they are saying that caste system is based on Varna. Varna means what? Kayaka. Kayaka means work. What work a person does. So if a person is a dhobi, he has to be a dhobi. If he is a person mason, he should be a mason. If he is a what we call cobbler, they have to do only the charma karmachari. Charma means what? Skin, workers who work with skin are called what? People who work with skin. ஆனா மாட்டுக்கறி சாப்பிடக்கூடாது. ஆனா மாட்டுடைய தோல் வேணும். எதுக்கு? மிருதங்க வாசிக்கிறதுக்கு. கரெக்ட் தானே? மாட்டை கொள்ளாத எப்படி வரும் தோல்? So these people used the lower caste for what purpose? For only for satisfying their own agenda. So you can see that Jyotiba Phule was the first personality to oppose what? Total eradication of abolition of caste system from Indian subcontinent. And he also advocated that the people caste system is the main thing which is bringing social inequality because that it is associated with work. He said people who are talented or educated can do any work, not only the work which the caste which is informed. In this way, Satya Sodak Samaj and the work of Mahatma Jyotiba Phule attracted many depressed classes and people. They started to join them and it gave a sense of identity. So, Aligarh Reform Movement. So you can see Aligarh Reform Movement was brought on the backdrop of what? On the backdrop of the divide and rule policy. Sir Syed Ahmed Khan, after the revolt of 1857, he was extensively used by whom? By the British to divide the society, particularly the Indians. They pit one community against other community. So Syed Ahmed Khan, he was very instrumental in following the diktats from the British government. So he opened a school called Gulchan School in Moradabad in Uttar Pradesh. Later, he was attracted and very much a supporter of Britishers. So he, in 1863, opened the Victorian School and Ghazipur in UP. In 1864, he opened a scientific society, and that society was for, he brought up in Aligarh, where the society will go and translate all the English literature into English. And his agenda was that people, Muslims, should become what? He is a reformist. That means he opposed the traditions of Islam, particularly hegemony of Quran and also the other Shariat law. He was opposing. So he want people to get more information on scientific subjects, agriculture, physics. For that, he opened in 1866 Aligarh Institute Gazette. In this gazette, he published all these details so that people will read these information and get informed. So in 1875, he started this Aligarh movement and he opened this Anglo-Oriental College, Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental School in 1879 on the lines of London English School. And later, this became MAO College, Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College. And in 20th century, it became Aligarh Muslim University, AMU. The agenda of Anglo-Oriental School and College was Sir Syed Ahmed Khan wanted to modernize whom? Modernize the Muslims, particularly to adopt the Western form of education with scientific knowledge and temper. So he wrote a book called Tazib al-Akhlaq. And this was written by Sir Syed Ahmed Khan. And also he also wrote this as a reformist ideology. What he ideology? So he was against the what? Against the Muslim culture of putting parda system and going for very rigid form of practicing the Islamic religion. So he, in 1860s, he was made by the British as the judicial service in government of British India. He was into judicial service in government of British India. Later, in 1878, he was made the member of Imperial Legislative Council. Imperial Legislative Council member. In 1888, he was given the title Sir. He was given knighthood. So he had opinion. He said religion should be adaptable with time. What he said? Islamic religion should be adaptable with time. Not only that, he also what he called if religion is not adaptable, religion will become what? It will become fossil. What do you mean by fossil? What do you mean by fossil? Fossil fuels, fossil சொல்றேன்னா அது பாசப்படைஞ்சு பறிஞ்சு அது இதாயிடும் ரஸ்ட் பயன்பாட்டு இல்லாத போயிடும். அதனால காலம் எப்படி போகுதோ அதுக்கு ஏற்றவாறு அந்த மதம் அதை மாற்றிக்கொள்ளணும்னு சொல்லி எந்த மதத்தை? இஸ்லாமிய மதத்தை. இது சொல்லுங்க சும்மா விடுவாங்களா? அப்ப இருந்த ரிவைவலிஸ்ட் மூவ்மெண்ட் இவர் கொண்ட இந்த ரிஃபார்ம் மூவ்மெண்ட்டை அப்போஸ் பண்றாங்க. பர்டிகுலர்லி த வஹாபீஸ், சையத் அகமது பெரல்வி கூட்டம் இவருக்கு எதிராக ஒரு ஃபாத்வாவை கொடுக்குறாங்க. ஃபாத்வா ஜிஆர் அவர் வந்துட்டு முஸ்லீமே கிடையாது. ஏன்னா இந்த சையத் அகமது காரனை வச்சு யாரு விளையாடுறாங்க? பிரிட்டிஷ். இவர் தான் காங்கிரஸ் பயங்கரமா கண்டம் பண்றது. ஸோ இவருக்கு எதிராக நீங்க பாப்பீங்க முஸ்லிம்ஸ் எதிராக இவங்களுக்கு முஸ்லிம்ஸ்க்கு எதிராகவே ஒர்க் பண்ணும்போது மற்ற ஆர்த்தடாக்ஸ் the revivalist people had a fast fatwa on Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. So he supported the women education. Why? Because particularly women were subjugated in the Islam religion. So he wanted women to be educated, and particularly he wanted them to be on scientific basis. On scientific basis, the education should be there. And not only that, for women, he opposed Parda system. Parda system. He opposed in Islam polygamy, which gives a man a right to have 4 wives at the same time. And he condemned one particular tradition which is there in the Uttar Pradesh, the tradition of Piri and Muridi, the system of Piri and Muridi, which is very much detrimental to the original traditions and teachings of Islam. So he wanted everything. And he started to preach about the Hindu-Muslim, that we are all Indians. We speak the same language. Our culture is Hindu. So he brought commonalities and similarities between Hindu and Islamic religion, Islamic people. So Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, he was interested in the social reforms of the Islamic people. He wanted to impart modern scientific education, and he was very liberal, and he spoke about Quran. What did he said? Whatever interpreted in Holy Quran, it should harmonize. Quran should harmonize Islam with modern liberal culture. When he said modern liberal culture, Quran should be adapting, the orthodox people who are there in Islamic all rose in against. So British thought that Muslims could be used as what? Allies in the rising nationalist movement. So they used Sir Syed Ahmad Khan against nationalist movement as well as against the political activity of the middle class intelligentsia. So the only way could achieve is that Muslims should come what? They be given some kind of an official patronage, and also they should be encouraged to fight the nationalist leaders, and they should be stimulated that we should give them education, better employment opportunities. You give them concession. These people will not only fight the religion, they'll also fight the politicals. So it was a two-way strategy of British in supporting Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. So Sir Syed Ahmad Khan emerged as a very liberal person, modern person who opposed the religious traditions of Islam as well as the Islamic intelligentsia. And soon he was found favor among Muslims. In later part of life, the person who spoke about Hindu-Muslim unity became radicalist. He became what? At the end of his life, radical. And it was one among this personality who was becoming, he sowed the seeds of division and partition. Later, the same person, how Keshav Chandra Sen went against what he preached, same Syed Ahmad Khan. At the end, he went, whatever he spoke about unity, he became radical. He became so anti Hinduism at the later fag end of his life. And his agenda also led to the agenda of what? Partition. That was his influence that he did. So Aligarh Muslim movement played the role of what? Divide and rule. After British, they wanted, INC was formed. Indian Muslims were led by some leaders, particularly Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, to teach about the loyalty, to take care of their personal interests. That is why he was made judicial member. He was in government service in judicial services. Later, he made the Imperial Legislative Council. Later, he was given the Sir title, all because of the British. They wanted to divide and rule, communal divide and rule. It slowly started to. Similarly, some Hindu leaders also were what? Enthused on the lines of divide the Hindu community. So he started this Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College and School for Scientific Basis and Education of the young women, and later this became Aligarh Muslim University. So Deoband School. This Deoband School, which started as a revivalist movement, they wanted to preach the orthodox tenets of the religion and jihad against foreign rulers. Who were the foreign rulers? The Britishers. And this Deoband school started in Saharanpur district of United Provinces in 1866. The main people behind was Muhammad Qasim Nanotawi and Rashid Ahmad Gangohi. These two leaders supported the Indian National Congress. And Muhammad Qasim Nanotawi and Rashid Ahmad Gangohi issued fatwa against Syed Ahmad Khan's association, the Aligarh movement, as well as his venom which he spewed against Congress. Because these Muslim leaders, who are also Muslim religious leaders, were supporting Congress and they opposed Syed Ahmad Khan. And this Deoband school, they also were on the lines of revivalist movement, and they wanted what? The original, go back to the origins, particularly Wahhabi. We'll see in Wahhabi in the peasant and tribal. I'm not bringing it religious because Wahhabi's movement later became secular and Hindus also fought. So in that, we'll go into peasant and tribal. So Wahhabi's agenda was India is a land of what? Infidels, kafirs, infidels. So they call us Dar Ul Harb. And they want to make India, which is a land of infidels, to Dar Ul Islam, the land of peace they want to convert. This was the Wahhabi, and this Deoband also had the same agenda of Darul Harb, India, which is a land of infidels, kafirs, which should be converted into Darul Islam. So Sikh reform movements. You can see that Sikh reform movement started with the Singh Sabha movement. After the what you call Sikh wars. What Sikh wars is called as? Sikh wars, Anglo-Sikh wars. So you can see finally what happened. The Sikhs were subjugated, the Khalsa was dismantled, Rani Jindal was taken back. Slowly, you can see that the reform movement started in 1870s. In 1870s, the Sikh reform movement started. That is after 20 years after the dismantling of the Sikh Confederacy and the empire. So you can see that the Reform Religious Association got the what we call British support. So what happened? They founded Khalsa College. Earlier, Khalsa was what? The military brotherhood. The Supreme Council was Khalsa. Now that was dismantled. So what they brought? they brought Khalsa College for the education of the Sikh people. So this college they founded in Amritsar in 1892 in Amritsar. Prior to this Amritsar college, you will find the Singh Sabha started a movement called the Singh Sabha movement. And 1873 onwards, they started to propagate the idea of imparting Western education to the Sikh youth, young girls and boys. That is why in 1892, it ended in forming Khalsa College in Amritsar, 1892. So they started to promote in Khalsa College Gurumukhi script. Why? This Gurumukhi script has written which book, holy book? Guru Granth Sahib. This Guru Granth Sahib is what? The holy book of Sikhs. So people are not reading, they are going to Hindi, they are taking what? They are taking English and other Urdu literature. So they wanted to teach them the original Sikh language called the Gurumukhi language with Gurumukhi script. So in 1920s, you can see the Singh Sabha movement led to the reform movements. So after the Khalsa started, you can see when religion becomes very dominant, who will play a very important role? The Purohitas, the priestly class. The priestly class are called Mahants. These were all married fellows, as well as there were some sannyasis. They were controlling the entire money and other organization of the Sikhs. So Singh Sabha movement led to the formation of Akali movement. So this Akali movement started to protect the Gurudwaras and the Sikh shrines because the corrupt Mahants, they were taking lot of money, bribes, and their clan and their people were enjoying the government patronage and every contract, everything they were corrupt and they were ruling. So they wanted to break this management of Sikh shrines, which is under the control of priests and Mahants. So they treated this Sikh shrines as if it is their private property. They were treating no proper accounts. Nothing was given to the people. They were swindling. They were giving to their own kith and kin. And the entire people's money was not going to the poor and to the downtrodden. So Singh Sabha movement led to the Akali movement. And finally, the Akalis were able to take over this corrupt Mahants. And the government also was very particular, British government, for the reforms. In 1925, they proposed a government law where they got SGPC, Shiromani Prapandak Gurudwara, Shiromani SGPC, Shiromani Gurudwara Prapandak Committee. And with this Shiromani Gurudwara Prapandak Committee, they were able to administer the apex bodies. So what they brought? They brought the councils. And this council, common man, started to come. And with this council, they started to administer each and every Gurudwara will become a council. And this Gurudwara council, there will be leaders, there will be electing a president, there will be a secretary, there will be a treasurer. In that, every money will be accounted and every activity will be documented and kept for the people for revival. So now we can go into the Pandita Ramabai Saraswati. She is a Christian reformer and she is a social reformer. She is a Bible translator. She is a women's right and also an education, a person who dedicated her life for education. So you can see we have seen upper caste Brahminical movement. Then we have seen the lower caste also coming in. Then we saw Sikh, we saw Islamic. Now we are seeing Christian. And there is Parsi also. In Parsi reform movements, we'll finish Parsi. Rehunumai Masdyasan Sabha. In Parsi, we'll finish that and we'll come to Christian. Rehunumai Masdyasan Sabha. So it is a Parsi religious reforms. It was done in 1851. In 1851, And the persons who were behind were Naroji Purdonji, because they can ask in the match the following. I'm expecting one social reforms question this time. Naroji Purdonji. Then you have Dadabai Naroji. And K.R. Kama. And yes, Bengali. See, the name is Bengali, the name is Malabari. Don't think Bengali means the person from Bengali. He's a what? He's a Bangla and person from Malabari is person name. Don't think he is having Malayalam as mother tongue. Okay, so these are Parsi reformers. So you can see that they started a newspaper called the Truth Teller, and that is called, in English it is Truth Teller, in Parsi it is called as Ras Goftar. And it is they were reforming the prejudices that is there in the Parsi. What are the prejudices? The religious reforms, rituals, parda system, practices, everything they wanted. And particularly Parsis, they had very notorious way of subjugation of women. Parda system was there. They won't get education and they will be subjugated for only for what? Reproducing children. And they wanted to raise the age of marriageable age of the girls and give them education because they were so subjugated. They are a very small community, but they were at the highest, what you call the number of social evils present in Parsi. That is why Rehunumai, Mazda Singh Sabha worked. And later you have Malabari, all those people started to Parsi reformers work. So Ramabai Saraswati. So Ramabai Saraswati is a social reformer who came in the 19th and 20th century. So she is an Indian Christian woman and a social reformer. She started to reform this Christianity. But did anybody taught Christianity to her? No. She herself became Christian. How? So she is from the Chitpavan Brahmin community. And she is a Marathi Brahmin. She's a high caste Brahmin, Marathi Brahmin. And so her name is Ramabai Dongre. This Dongre is the name for the high caste Brahmins. So her father was a very, very learned professor. So in his life, he started as what? He started to go into the forest and recite the Hindu Puranas, the Hindu mythological works, Sanskrit works. And both the mother and children, everybody used to go. And she started her life in the Gangamulla forests. Gangamulla forest of the Nallamala Hills in Andhra Pradesh. She was in this Nallamala Hills, in this forest, where she was tutored by her father. And Ramabai Saraswati, is very highly learned. So she is very proficient in her mother tongue, Marathi, Sanskrit, Kannada, Telugu, and also the Latin, Greek, Hebrew, Arabic, all these languages. So you can draw a parallel between Pandita Ramabai Saraswati and Ram Mohan Roy. Why? Because she was so learned that in 1874, when her parents died, she and her brother started the family tradition of reciting. In 1878, she got an opportunity to come to Calcutta and she was offered a topic to be addressing the most eminent personalities of the society in the Calcutta University. So when she came, when she stood on 1,000 members are there in that, what you call, she was able to address the mostly who are men, who are great professors, and those who are very authoritative. When she spoke in chaste Sanskrit. When the way she conducted herself, when the discourse was giving, people, some of them went in trance, it seems. That is what literature says. They were mesmerized. They are thinking that Goddess Saraswati from heaven has come and talking to them. And that authoritative of that language and that the scriptures, the mythological texts Even those scholars were sitting, they did not have such kind of a hold on that. Seeing Ramabai Saraswati, they almost came and fall to her feet. She was very young that time. In that young age, so on that day, the Calcutta University, all these professors, they decided and gave the title Pandita. Pandita means she's a learned among the most highly learned. And also she got one more title called Saraswati because she herself was like as if Goddess Saraswati has come from heaven and speaking. So later part of his life, when she came to Calcutta, she also got to know about Brahmo Samaj. So she goes in Brahmo Samaj and he joins it in June 1880. The teachings of Brahmo Samaj attracted her. As a high caste Brahmin lady, she wanted to renounce this, what you call this caste prejudices or caste identity. So she loved a Shudra, lower caste man, she married. And her maiden name was Medhavi. So when she married, she was pregnant. She bore a girl child called Manorama. A year later, her husband he contracted cholera. So when he contracted cholera, she went to every doctor's there, and nobody supported her. Husband died because of medical negligence, and nobody treated his husband. So this was a very big shock to her because now she becomes a high caste Hindu Brahmin lady who's a high caste widow. And those days, high caste widows issues are very different. So while reading in Brahmo Samaj, in the bookshelves, she fought few literatures and Nehemiah Gore, his apologetical treatise. She read that one and she took all the doctrines of Brahmo Samaj and she started to verify. Once she verified, she came to the realization that what Brahmo Samaj founder Raja Ramon Rai entirely did was what? It is true that all theology, everything was actually Christian in the origin. So then she was convinced that Brahma Samaj was mostly Christian in origin, but they kept the Hindu name. So she had an opportunity to go to England. Why? Because she wanted to pursue medicine. So she went to England and there she also made research in Christianity herself, asked the Anglican minister in the Church of Saint Mary the Virgin in Wantage in England. She baptized and she became old Anglo-Catholic Protestant. So when she was there in Europe, she wanted medical degree. Why she wanted medical degree? Because she was not able to save her husband. So Ramabai Saraswati, so from 1883 to 1886, she was very much wanted to pursue, but she contracted the issue of deafness. So for a doctor, very much important is the ears because they have to hear the heartbeat, they have to see the pulse and other things, and also receive the lectures from the professors. She was not able to understand. In those times, we didn't have the sign language to convey to them. So she was now had an option. Only thing is that go and read more about the work that she wanted to do. So she read more on Christianity and she started to work on the education platform and social work. So she brought in 1887, when she was in Europe, a very important book called The High Caste Hindu Women, a merciless indictment of Hindu India's treatment of its women. Particularly, she spoke about widowhood and how the India was treating the widows of that time, and she wanted to work for them. So in 1889, she returned back to India. These American people all gave her some money to work for the people. So without any caste and creed, non-proselytization institute, she opened for the Hindu widows. So she established Sarda Sadan, a home for destitute, and Sharda Sadan means abode of wisdom in Bombay, and Mukti Mission she started. Mukti means salvation in Kedagaon in Pune. So she started. So you can see that during this great plague of the Bombay in 1896, you have the severe famine followed by the Great Plague of Bombay in 1898, 11 million people died. Officially, statistics 11 million means 1.1 crore people died. In 1898, bubonic plague struck. Prior to that, there was famine, and many people, thousands of people were orphans, widows. There were people who did not have any medicine. So she was able to bring them and also save them. By 1900, this Mukti mission had how many people? 1,500 residents in this. Imagine 1,500 residents is not a joke. It is a very big what you call mission, and you didn't have such a mission in India till Ramabai Saraswati having 1,500 people. Not only that, she took care of cattle also. So she established many Christian schools and colleges in the northern Karnataka and Gulbarga. So she is a woman who translated the original Bible into Marathi language. So because of her only, the Marathi Bible is there because of the translation she made from original Hebrew and Greek. She translated. So in 1920, her health got deteriorated. The sad thing is that a daughter whom she wanted to succeed. So she was able what? Her daughter died. She also died of septic bronchitis. So she, at the age of 64, 65 years, she died. Until today, her mission is very successful. Her followers are still keeping the more than 125-year-old organization, still doing the work for every community. So as a social reformer, she was able to break the caste barrier, and she was one among the very few social reformers in the modern India. So women's emancipation. What we'll do is that we'll break for lunch, and then we will come. We have just half an hour to 40 minutes. We'll finish this religious movements and then go into the modern. Please go to lunch and come back.